Hi, good morning, everyone. So, in the last class, we had gone ahead and we had started talking about the different pricing strategies or pricing models. And we had gone ahead and we had talked about the average pricing model. So, we had gone ahead and we had talked about how the average cost pricing model was given by Hall and Hedge and how this model was given by Andrew. Then we started talking about limit pricing theory. And in limit pricing theory, we went ahead and we talked about Bain's limit pricing theory. This is what we covered. In today's lecture, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to start with Sylos Labini limit pricing theory, right? Now, you will find that the limit pricing theory used by different individuals are very close to each other in some aspects, just that every model adds onto the other model in some in some cases. So just for example, you will notice that when we talk about Sylos Labini model also, he also talks about the price that is to be set is in a way to avoid the entry of the new firm. वो भी यही बोलता है कि हमें न्यू एंट्रेंट को रोकना है मार्केट में एंटर करने से. He talks about this. Also, you will notice that he also talks about going ahead and keeping the price as a markup price. जैसे हमने यहाँ पे बेन में we had found out a condition for the entry, हाँ, condition for entry. ऐसे ही यहाँ पे भी Sylos Labini also goes ahead and they also kind of talk about similar thing, right? A markup price over and above the cost. So in some forms you will find a similarity between Bain and Sylos Labini model. How it will differ, I will talk about that also. कहाँ पे वो differ करते हैं और क्या क्या अलग होता है, we will go ahead and we will discuss that aspect also, right? So please start writing it down. Okay. So Sylos Labini model of limit pricing. Right. So there are some assumptions that we need to go ahead and we need to write down first. So I'm going to write those assumptions of this model first. So the first one is that they assume that the market is with unit price elasticity, right? So you are talking about a market which has unit price elasticity, which means that whenever I will be going ahead and I will be drawing a demand curve, although this is a problem with HL Ahuja. I mean, if you look into HL Ahuja and you try to read this aspect, you will realize. So if we assume unit pricing, if we assume elasticity of demand equal to 1, then we know that in such cases, we have a rectangular hyperbola. Isn't it? The area under the curve always remains the same. But if you will go to the graphical part of Sylos Labini model, you will realize that still they have gone ahead and they have taken a downward sloping demand curve rather than taking a rectangular hyperbola. So, कुछ aspects में I somehow find that H.L. Ahuja is contradictory in what text he writes and what diagram he makes. So, but the answer to this is that if you go back to the original study done by Sylos Labini, उसमें भी it is a downward sloping demand curve rather than being a rectangular hyperbola, right? So, if you were to go ahead and plot this, it is okay even if you plot a downward sloping demand curve, क्योंकि usually textbook में भी यही है. But remember that if we were to go ahead and actually understand this aspect, तो ये important है समझना that if you assume unit elasticity, तो जो usually demand curve बनता है, it needs to be a rectangular hyperbola. The area under the curve needs to be the same. Okay, so that's the first assumption that they go ahead and make. And the second assumption that they go ahead and make is that we are talking about homogeneous product sold by firms, right? And what it does is it says that let's assume that there are multiple firms. And out of these multiple firms, there is this one firm who is going to go ahead and act as a price leader. So firms to bahut sare hain. There are multiple firms in the market, but one firm will determine what price we want to sell at, and then the other firms will go ahead and they will just follow that firm, right? So we can say that there is a firm which acts as price leader, and other firms follow this firm. तो जो बाकी firms होंगे, they will go ahead and they will be following this firm, and this one firm, it will be the price leader. Another important thing. So these firms, all these firms are selling the same product only, but they have different cost that they are incurring, right? So why is the cost different? Because these firms have different plant size, right? So there is a firm which has a very small plant. Agar plant small hoga, you cannot take benefit of economies of scale and your cost will be high. And there is a firm which has bigger plant, right? And because it has big plant, its cost is low. So what we do for diagrammatical purposes is that we assume 3 plant size available. Right? There are 3 plants available. And then these plants that are available to the firm, different firms will have different plants. They can have a small plant, they can have a medium-sized plant, they can have a large plant, right? Very important thing. So usually what we do is, whenever we will draw a long run average cost curve, if you remember the production theory, this is how my long run average cost function looks. And in this long run average cost function, we usually assume it to be continuous. And what we say is that as you increase the capital, right, or plant size, your average cost starts to decline. This is usually how we do it. So if you remember, we did something which is known as envelope theorem kind of thing, that the long run average cost envelopes all the short run average costs. Right? So what happens is the short run average cost are drawn for a particular plant size, and then the long run average cost will envelop these short run average cost function. But usually what will happen is whenever we will be drawing a long run average cost function, the long run average cost function will always be continuous in nature. That is what we have been taught always. But here what it is saying is that your technology is rigid. Either you are working with plant 1 or plant 2 or plant 3, you have a rigid technology in place. So because it's a rigid technology, you cannot just quickly change the technology, and because it takes time for you to move from one technology to another. So what it says is that we cannot go ahead and draw a continuous long run average cost curve. That is not possible. Instead, what we go ahead and what we do is we draw straight line long run average cost curve. And we say that as the plant size increases, the long run average cost starts to decrease. So what we can go ahead and what we can therefore do is we can say that this is my long run average cost curve if I have small size plant. As I go to medium size plant, my cost decreases. As I go to large size plant, my cost further decreases. So this is an assumption made in this model that because of rigid technology, you cannot have a continuous long run average cost curve. Rather, you have straight lines. For each plant, you show a separate long run average cost curve. And as the plant size increases, the long run average cost decreases, right? So I'm going to just write this down. This is not shown diagrammatically in any book. It's just an assumption we are making. So please write down. Because of rigid technology, the long run average cost curve is not continuous, right? It's not a continuous curve that can be drawn. Instead, it is straight line cost curve, and the larger the plant, the lower the long run average cost. So the larger the plant you have, the lower will be the long run average cost curve. Now, here is the final story about it. So we assume, so we said that there needs to be someone who will be the price leader. So what we go ahead and what we assume is that whoever this price leader is, whoever is leading the market, he must be the one who has lowest average cost. Uska cost सबसे कम रहा होगा जिसने भी market को lead किया होगा. And that person who would have lead, who leads the market, जिसका cost ये सबसे कम है, he is going to go ahead and set the price in the market, right? There are other firms also, but those firms are smaller firms. Those firms do not individually impact the price. हाँ, कोई और फर्म्स होंगे जिनके बहुत बड़े बड़े प्लांट्स नहीं होंगे, छोटे छोटे प्लांट्स होंगे, उनको कॉस्ट ज्यादा लग रही होगी. वो प्राइस लीडर नहीं है, वो प्राइस टेकर हैं. दे आर टेकिंग द प्राइस फ्रॉम द मार्केट. हु इज द प्राइस लीडर? दिस फर्म हु इज लीडिंग द मार्केट, हु हैज द स्मॉलेस्ट कॉस्ट, हाँ, जिसको बहुत कम कॉस्ट लग रही है, लोएस्ट कॉस्ट लग रही है, that is going to be the firm who is going to lead the price, who is going to decide the price for everyone. Now, because this is a model of limit pricing, this firm that leads the price needs to ensure that all existing firms accept the price. कैसे प्राइस वो सेट करेगा? दो चीजें देखनी है उसने. पहली, सारे एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म्स उस प्राइस को माने. All existing firms are okay with the price. Second, he needs to ensure that no new firm should be able to enter at that price. उसको नए फर्म का एंट्री को भी रोकना है. He needs to stop the entry of new firms. और उसको पुराने फर्म सारे उस पे प्रॉफिट पे बेच पाए ऐसा प्राइस भी सेट करना है. So the largest firm, the firm with the lowest average cost, needs to ensure that the price is acceptable in the industry. जो भी प्राइस वो सेट करे सब लोग उसे माने. And it must also ensure that it is able to deter the entry of the new firm. कोई भी नया firm इस प्राइस पे एंटर ना कर पाए, right? So let's write this down. Price is set by the largest firm, which is also the most efficient firm with lowest average cost, right? So this firm should have the lowest average cost. And when will he have the lowest average cost? Only if he has the largest plant, right? Smaller firms cannot influence the price individually, and therefore are price takers. Right? So the largest firm must set price that ensures. So two things needs to be ensured. First, it is acceptable by all existing firms, right? And second, it must deter the entry of new firm. So I want to stop the entry of the new firm, and I also want to ensure that it is acceptable by all current firms, right? Now, when will I be able to deter the entry of the new firm? This we did in the last class. We will be able to stop the entry of the new firm if price is less than equal to his long run average cost. Right? So if price is just equal to his long run average cost, or price is even below his long run average cost, then there is no point he will enter the market. He will be in a loss. So his whatever, so if you remember yesterday also, the price that we said, it was actually less than long run average cost of potential entrant. This is what we had done. So this is exactly we are saying that to deter the entry of the new firm, P should be less than equal to the LAC of the potential entrant. Right? These things, these two things together, this is also called as Sylos postulate. This is also called as Sylos postulate, right? So Sylos postulate क्या बोलता है? The firm which is the price leader, one, must set a price such that all firms accept the price. Second, such that no new firm enters the market, which happens when price will be lower than long run average cost of the potential firm, right? Another thing it goes ahead and it says is that the price is always set as some markup of average total cost. So what this firm has to ensure, this market leader has to ensure that अभी जितने भी firm अभी exist कर रहे हैं इस market में, है ना, उन सबको कुछ profit तो मिले, ज्यादा या कम doesn't matter, but उनको वो प्राइस एक्सेप्टेबल हो. इट शुड बी एक्सेप्टेबल टू दोज एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म्स इन द मार्केट. ये करना जरूरी है. सो आई नीड टू इंश्योर दैट वॉट एवर प्राइस आई एम सेलिंग, ठीक है, वॉट एवर प्राइस आई हैव सेट, नो नीड टू पुट आई हियर, यू कैन जस्ट हैव जनरल वन. Whatever price I will set, it must be able to cover the average cost of all firms. चाहे छोटा फर्म हो या बड़ा फर्म हो, we understand that average total cost of a small plant firm will be more than average total cost of a medium plant firm will be more than average total cost of a large plant firm. As the plant size will increase, जैसे जैसे plant का size बढ़ेगा, the cost will decrease. But we need to ensure that whatever price we are setting, it is more than this also, so that there is a markup over this cost. All firms should accept the price. और सारे firms price को कब accept करेंगे? When it is able to cover their average total cost, right? So I need to ensure that the price that I set should be more than average total cost. So R represents the markup here, and it can also be called as supernormal profit margin. सुपर नॉर्मल प्रॉफिट मार्जिन. ठीक है. Okay. Now comes the most tricky part where I am going to go ahead and draw a graph for it. So listen to me very carefully. If you try to read this from book, you will be lost. बहुत tricky लगेगा. We will do it in a simple way. So what we will be doing is, this is my demand curve, right? I am drawing three. So demand curve means price. Right? I am drawing three cost curves. So okay. Now, what I am saying is, this is my long run average cost of the smallest plant. सबसे ज़्यादा cost है. Long run average cost of the medium sized plant. Long run average cost of the largest plant. Okay. Now, what we are going ahead and we are doing is the following. Can you tell me what is the minimum price that should be set by the price leader? He needs to ensure that all firms go ahead and cover their cost. In order to ensure that all firms cover their cost, the price that he should be setting should be at least equal to LACS. इतना प्राइस उसको सेट करना पड़ेगा. LACS से कम प्राइस अगर सेट करेगा, then this firm which is operating with the long run cost as LACS will be in a loss. अगर यहाँ कहीं प्राइस सेट कर देगा तो ये वाला लॉस में हो जाएगा. So the minimum price he should be setting will be here. ये मिनिमम है, इतना प्राइस या इसके ऊपर ही कोई प्राइस सेट करना जरूरी है. Now, what we are going ahead and doing is we are assuming, second thing, that any new firm that enters the market, कोई भी नया फर्म अगर मार्केट को एंटर करेगा, then that new firm will be always a small plant firm. शुरुआत में वो सिर्फ स्मॉल प्लांट जितना ही कॉस्ट इनकर कर पाए, मतलब स्मॉल प्लांट ही स्टैब्लिश कर सकता है. इट कैन नॉट बी अ लार्ज प्लांट फर्म. सो व्हाट वी आर डूइंग इज वी आर सेइंग दैट एनी न्यू फर्म दैट विल एंटर द मार्केट, वो उसका जो कॉस्ट है वो ये है. ठीक. नाउ सपोज the quantity that new firm can produce, that is QS. तो जब उसको इतना कॉस्ट लगता है, इस न्यू फर्म को LACS कॉस्ट लगता है, इस कॉस्ट पे ये न्यू फर्म क्वांटिटी कितना सेल कर पाता है? It is able to go ahead and produce, suppose this QS, right? And all existing firms with plant size small currently produce Q3 amount. Q3 की जगह पे you can just say suppose Q star. I don't want to write numbers here. Q star amount. तो अभी के लिए जब ये न्यू फर्म मार्केट में नहीं आया, when this new firm has not entered the market, तो जो भी हमारे एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म्स हैं वो इस कॉस्ट पे अभी तक कितना डिमांड फुलफिल कर रहे हैं? इतना Q star. सो दीज एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म्स, जितने भी हमारे एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म हैं, अभी हम कोई नो न्यू फर्म, अगर हम कोई न्यू फर्म नहीं लेके आते मार्केट में, देयर इज नो न्यू एंट्रेंट इन द मार्केट, दिस इज द कॉस्ट कर्व. If I set price exactly equal to the cost, है ना, that means like a perfect competition, price is equal to cost. So what is the demand that we are fulfilling? We are fulfilling Q star units. ठीक है. Now we are saying that there is this new firm. If this new firm enters the market, अगर ये नया firm market में enter करता है, तो ये additional QS units इस market में लेकर आ सकता है. It can bring these additional QS units in the market. Now, what we go ahead and we do is, from Q star units, which is going to be the total demand at this price, इस price पे total demand कितना आ रहा है Q star, we subtract what can be fulfilled by the new firm. Total demand इतना है. Suppose this is 50. Suppose this price is 10. So at price of 10, the total demand is 50 units. New plant can supply 10 units out of these 50 units. So what we do is, out of the total demand, we subtract what new firm can supply and we find out the remaining units. 40 units हो गए remaining units, which will still go to the old plants, क्योंकि वो सिर्फ maximum इतना ही produce कर रहा है अभी. So these 40 units, we find out the price of these 40 units. That if we only supply 40 units in the market as a industry, as a whole, जो existing firms हैं, if they only supply the difference between Q star and QS. So this is Q star 50, and from Q star I subtract 10. So I come back to 40. I come back to 40. And at this 40, I find out at what price I can sell these 40 units. This becomes my limit price. इसको मैं बोल देती हूँ limit price. And this becomes my limit quantity. Limit quantity, limit price. This is how we can find out the limit quantity and price. Now what has happened? Listen. So अब क्या होगा ना, that we are selling currently, suppose this limit price comes out as suppose 12. So currently we are selling at 12 rupees per unit. How many units? 40 units. Now, if this new firm enters the market, he will go ahead and increase the supply. He will produce extra units in the market. So if this new firm enters the market, वो market की supply को बढ़ाना शुरू करेगा. How much extra can he produce? We know he can produce only 10 units more. So when this new firm enters the market, he starts increasing supply. He produces 10 units in the market. And when he supplies these 10 units, what will happen? There will be increase in supply. So it will start reducing the price in the market. When price will reduce in the market, what will happen? जैसे ही प्राइस कम होगा और प्राइस वापस 10 पे जाएगा, तो हमें पता है कि जब प्राइस 10 था तो एग्जिस्टिंग फर्म्स ही अपने आप में 50 यूनिट्स प्रोड्यूस कर पा रहे थे. दे वर आल्सो प्रोड्यूसिंग 50 यूनिट्स. When this new firm did not even enter, so at a price of 50, the existing firms itself were producing 50 units. ये तो हमने न्यू फर्म का ये निकाल लिया था कि वो कितना एक्स्ट्रा प्रोड्यूस करता है. So what happens is that the existing firms are also producing, new firm also starts producing, so the supply will start increasing over and above 50 units. And this will lead to drop in price below 10. And if the price will fall further, अगर price और गिर गया क्योंकि new firm भी supply कर रहा है और existing वाले भी अपना पूरा supply कर रहे हैं, if the price will decrease below this price, the new firm will exit the market क्योंकि he will not be able to cover his cost. So this means that new firm will exit the market. So what we have ensured is that we have kept the price and quantity in such a way that if this new firm ever enters the market, the price will decrease and will lead to his exit. तो उसको पता है कि उसकी एंट्री से प्राइस इतना गिर जाएगा कि वो ही सस्टेन नहीं कर पाएगा. The new firm will not be able to sustain in the market. And since he knows this, he will never enter the market. So this is what this model goes ahead and suggests. Now I'm going to just write this entire story. So let's write this down. Correct. Existing firms means all firms, right? We are finding the total demand if we keep price equal to LACS. So if my price is equal to this price, so how much total will we fulfill? That is this in the market, correct? Including all the type of firms. Okay, so please write down. It is assumed in this model that new firm enters the industry with smallest scale, right? The price set by price leader must be such that it prevents the entry of new firm, right? So we have named this as QS and we will name this as O. So we can say that suppose new firm plant capacity is OQS. Then and the total supply of output at P equal to LACS is OQ star. Then to find the limit price, we can find limit quantity as OQ star minus OQS. This will be OQL. So we have set the limit quantity that we will not sell more than OQL in the market, right? Accordingly, at OQL, the price comes at OPL. So the price that we get, if I just name this as OQL, this is OQL. How did I find OQL? OQ star minus OQS. So the corresponding price comes out as this one, OPL, right? If new firm enters this industry, the quantity will start increasing and price will drop below long run average cost such that the new entrant will have to exit the market. So when the new entrant will enter, the quantity in the market will increase. When quantity supplied will increase, price will start decreasing. When the price will decrease, price will become below his own cost. And when the price will become below his own cost, he will exit the market. So in a way, PL is the barrier to entry to the new firm, right? The new firm will not be able to enter, right? PL itself will act as a barrier to entry. This is what this model goes